So we're going to be creating a trim sheet template in this one. It's really quite simple, but we're going to need some software to do this. Now, what you use is up to you. I'm going to be using Affinity Designer, okay, and Substance Designer as well. But you could technically use all kinds of different things. All we're going to be doing is creating more or less a height map and then turning that into a normal map and textures. Basically a quick trim sheet. So Affinity Designer, it's real simple. Start a new document, set up your settings here, so it's 2048 by 2048 or whatever you want, 1024, 1K, 2K, 4K, whatever. I'm gonna use the square tool here. And so background would be black and anything in between will go towards the front for a height map, right? So if I just go with like a mid gray, I just knock out this whole section here real quick. We can do things like this. There's nothing wrong with this, right? And I got a grid on as well, so I can snap to it, but that's optional. You don't necessarily use that. Play around with these real quick. Go a little brighter. This one, it's okay. Let's bring it down though. I'll make this bottom one here a lot brighter. Okay. So we're already establishing kind of our template, right? What's going to happen here. But because we're working with heights, we can do a lot more than this. So for example, if I wanted to snap across this whole area, do something like that maybe down. And because it's a vector program, it's better to do this in vector programs, not raster programs. But you can change the corners, right? Or you can change just one of the corners using the corner tool. So you can do things like this if you wanted to. Okay, so we can actually select all of them, do that as well. Then we can change the type of corner as well. So if we want a little chamfers, whatever, different setups here, right? We're gonna leave it rounded. We want to do a cut in, say here. Maybe we want to cut in a little bit. Let's just make another square, do that number. Okay. Here's what's going to be a little bit fun with this. If we do another square and we make it like, say, a little bit brighter. Notice I went off the edges here because I'm going to add an FX to it. Gaussian blur. Blur it. And that's going to make it look rounded in the height map, like it's curved, like a pipe. Very simple. We can also use the pen tool to do other designs like that. Oop, I didn't want to do that actually. Control Z back. I just want to click, okay? We'll go back down to there. All right, now that's a shape. Bring it forward. Do something like that maybe. Okay. And this is misaligned. So here's something that's interesting. Affinity Designer, if you right click this menu, you can customize. You can grab these and you can drag them up here and place them. Okay. I have a couple already exposed. Let me align like so, real quick like. I'm doing horizontal or vertical alignments. I think they're misaligned. They look like it, but they might not be. Oh, they are. Those bottom ones definitely are. Okay, so there we go. So I can tweak them basically. And if I wanted to draw a box here, put that below it somewhere. I could do that. Make it darker. Use the corner tools, select the bottom two, round them out. There we go. Got something like that going. Okay. So we can go crazy with this. We could do this all day long, going through here and just tweaking things, making adjustments. If you ever want anything to be a little bit rounded, like it has a bevel on it, you can do a Gaussian blur on it. Just make it fuzzier. Don't get too carried away with it, but just a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's say we went through this and we kind of set up our template. Save the affinity file. We'll call it trim 1A. Control Shift S, save export a PNG file, trim 01A, done. Okay, Substance Designer, right click in the Explorer, new package, right click, new substance graph. I'm not going to change anything, it's 1024 right now. Right here, we can click File, open it up, link the resource. Okay. I'm going to hit spacebar, type in base material. Got this open, or we got this here now. Okay. The space material, when we bring it in, I want to expose the normal, ambient occlusion, height, and the rest will be fine. We don't have to show any of that. But the base color you might want to change to be a little bit lighter. So we're going to have to set this thing up real quick. We know we need a normal map. This came in as a color map, so we can actually take this and convert it to a grayscale real quick. Plug it into there, plug that into there. This is going to be the height as well. We're going to run it into an ambient occlusion. Like that. Okay. This height, I'm going to actually blur it. Blur HQ grayscale. Okay. And we want to change the quality all the way up and turn the intensity way down. We're going to run it into there. So now we can drag these out. So right click here, drag over to here. Boom. Go to materials default. You can edit it or you can change it to tessellation and then edit it as well. You'll have the height field here. You can play around with this. So this gives it parallax occlusion basically. The way I have it set up right now, but you could use tessellation as well. All right, so there we go. We have something kind of started. Very simple. One thing I do want to change is I don't want it to be necessarily metallic. You can leave it metallic if you want, but you can change it in Blender as well if you needed to. You can also play with the roughness values. Nothing wrong with that. You can add a little bit of grunge. Just going to break up the this grunge for the roughness. Just going to break up the surface a little bit, basically. And let's turn that roughness up a bit. Okay, so this normal map, that one, probably bump it up to like 20. And make it really pop. Yeah. Probably doesn't need to be that high, but we'll leave it at that for now. Usually lower is better in a lot of ways. So, all right, and yeah, that's it. That's the material. So we can rename it. Right click. I'll trim 01A. Okay, and then we can save this package. Same deal. Trim 01A to desktop. Let's go ahead and right. Well, we haven't set it up. Pick this node. Right click it. Create output nodes. Don't do the hidden connectors. Just click no. There you go. That's all set up. So we can right click this here, export output as bitmaps. We're going to put it on the desktop, but I got to create a folder for this. Good idea to do this usually. Call it textures. Put it out there, and I'm just going to leave everything checked. Oh, one thing before we go any further. This normal is a DirectX normal. You might want to change it to OpenGL if you're going to use it just in Blender. We can go ahead and export that out now to textures folder. PNG and all that fun stuff. Okay, so there we go. Set over to Blender real quick. This default cube. Give it a new material. Go to the shading editor. Control Shift T here. Desktop textures. You can see we have occlusion, base color, all this fun stuff. I know for a fact base color is not going to come in, and we don't necessarily need height right now. So we're going to uncheck base color. Just load up ambient occlusion. Should come in looking like this. Ambient occlusion doesn't hook up. So what we have to do is just Shift A, create texture, image texture. Open the base color potentially. But we don't have nothing going on it right now, so it's kind of useless. And if that's the case, we can just use a mix RGB node. Plug it in like this. Light gray. Do a multiply. Set it to 1. Plug that base color in. So if we press C and go to material preview, should see here. Grab the cube, U, cube projected, bam. just like that. This going on. Notice that the metallic was hooked up. You don't necessarily even need that. You can actually delete it. Either 1 or 0. So if you want it metallic, put it to 1. If you want it not metallic, hit it 0. That's all you need. So it'll save you a little bit of performance here. Anyways. The ambient occlusion might be a little bit strong. You can kind of tweak it here if needed. Might be able to drag it down to the bottom one. Better tweak out of it. Normally you would mix that with your color map at some point. And yeah, there you go. So now basically what you can do with this is you can set up a scene, a light. Let's just do a sunlight for now. Pull it out there. Okay. Add a floor. We can now use this cube as a base to models. So if we wanted to create a game environment or something, get this going. Do things like bevels or whatever. Just remember, gotta unwrap these things as well. Okay, there's nothing for it to reflect right now, so it looks really kind of bland and dull. Temporarily, you can disable scene world, right? You turn the strength down on this a lot. This gives it a little bit to reflect. You can even turn the world opacity up if you want. I'm sorry. Sunlight probably is a little bit low. Let's try 5. Oop, 2. Try 3. Okay, so we got a pillar. That's pretty much it, right? So we can start creating more things very quickly. We want like wall units. Let's pull that out. Cube project that one. There we go. I'm going to instance these. Okay. So you can modify these however you see fit, but you can still modify them. That's probably the main takeaway here is that you can do this in this manner. So if I do some loop cuts and I push that in and maybe I pull this out a little bit. See, pulling that out actually didn't work out because I need a loop cut. Okay. Got, like I was saying, it's got bad reflection. Let's change this floor real quick. Give it a new material, make it a little darker. Good mid-gray. Give a little bit more brightness, strength to this. Okay, for now, so we have something to reflect in the surface, anyways. Not too bad. Okay, and so trim sheets, the mid-poly workflow, everybody likes a lot. It's pretty common these days in games and whatnot. You can use that to your full benefit, but it's a lot of times it's really, I feel like the main shapes of the trim are the most important things. So you can always take this and kind of start with this, but then you can go back and rework it later if needed and add more details or straighten things up or whatever the case may be. Just keep that in mind, all right? Like this section here, maybe this is like a kind of picture frame on a wall or something. Do a quick chamfer like this, and we weight the normals, shaded auto smooth, shading. Merge everything by distance real quick. Not shading the way I want. Why is it not? Change the normals here to about. Now, let's change this to, probably should have did this earlier, but just going to bring it out. Do that here as well. So that these middle sections are probably going to be all messed up now. was kind of thinking that would happen, but it's not too bad, right? Every time you shade auto smooth, if you don't change it down here, it's always going to do that. So I'm going to set it to 60 and see how it looks. But then we definitely want to weight the normal there. Okay. Some other little oddities are occurring, perhaps, but it's not too bad. So, anyways, let's give it the material. See, went on like so. We can do a cube projection. Okay, maybe that's what you want. Maybe it's not. Let's just make it larger real quick. Let's say like this whole area here. If we add a loop cut, grab it again, do a cube project, or excuse me, do an unwrap. Okay, go to the UV editor. See, I did this. You could use text tools for this, but basically use text tools to rectify this around. I can't really see what's going on here. You could change that to like the AO map. Now that'll give you a little bit more to look at. But you can see what's going on. We more or less just made something like a picture frame. A little rough, perhaps. Blender has a little issue with mapping things in this manner a little bit, but for the most part, it usually works out pretty well. And so if we were to do the same thing here, mark a seam, unwrap. This one we don't even have to rectify. It came out pretty good, so make like this larger here. Boom. See what happened there. Okay, so you start to do some of that cool Ian Hubbard stuff that he likes to do, the camera projection stuff. The more precise you here are, is going to be the better, I think. But let's see. Eventually, you can go back and add a little bit of detail to things like this. I think I got different things going on different sides, but if I inset it, hold control, push it back a little bit there. Not a big change, but it's those little minor things sometimes go a long way. Maybe this is like some kind of like display. So I'll give it a new material as like a advertisement or something on it at some point. So we give it some emission color and then turn up the strength to whatever we need it. That'd be set up there. The sunlight, we need to turn on contact shadows. That didn't really even help it much. It's got like a weird lighting thing going on right here. I'm not real sure what's doing that. I guess it's natural, actually. I think it's because that edge I created, I didn't hit that little other edge. So GG twice, we can slide it down. Don't forget, you have these options when you're in edit mode. Correct face attributes. It's so you can move things around. For example, like right here. Like say this little area. Maybe I misaligned this just a little bit. I can turn on correct face attributes. Usually, if you can use keep connected, use it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if I press G now and like X and move around, you'll see it doesn't really mess it up, right? Easy. Be here. So we can do things like that. Wrong one. Space bar here. G X. You see this one was way off. All right, so before you get too carried away, doing a whole environment, just create that template, try it out for a bit, see if it's kind of working for what you're trying to do. I think that's a good way of working personally. And that's what guys used to do a lot with Indu. They'd create a quick normal map and throw it into their software and start seeing what they can get going on. It's really not that bad of a workflow, and that's still very valid in my opinion. I don't know how many people are still doing it, but definitely something you want to check out, check into doing, because it's that easy, guys. It's a lot of fun too. So, anyways, I'll check you guys out in the next one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. All right.